Volleyball opens conference play with a victory, and the competition ramps up this week. And your football Wampus Cats pulled off the upset at Bentonville. I'm Levi Gilbert, and this is Six Legs. Welcome to Six Legs. I'm Levi Gilbert, and this is your podcast home for all things Wampus Cat and Lady Cat athletics. I'm joined as always by one of the voices of the Wampus Cat, Tim Roach. Tim, how are you?
Doing fine. I'm recovering from a long weekend of football, but it was great football this weekend.
Yeah, you know, we had an exciting Friday night, and then I know you had an unintentionally exciting Saturday. I can hear it in your voice a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit long. I'll get better by tomorrow, but boy, great Razorback game in the second half. The first half was terrible, but it was going to be okay. And I really mean this. It was going to be okay because Friday night was so spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
I was still on a high. It really you couldn't throw me off. Couldn't throw me off, but they managed to find a way to get me vocally involved in the Razorback game. So I apologize.
And we will get to Friday night here in just a few minutes, and then much later in the show as well. Basically, this is a football show. I'll just be upfront about it. If you don't know, our show is fan supported on Patreon. So if you like what you hear, drop on over to patreon.com/sixlegs and help support the show financially to help make it sustainable. And another huge shout out to our first patrons, Malcolm and Susan Smith. Let's open the show with last week's headlines, and we begin today with your football Wampus Cats, who had an absolutely stellar comeback performance on the road at Bentonville on Friday. Conway upset the Tigers 55-41 behind the strength of 6 turnovers and a reliable ground and air attack, outscoring Bentonville 27-6 in the fourth quarter. Donovan Amala rushed for 2 scores and threw 3 touchdowns. Manny Smith hauled in 6 catches and 2 scores, and Boogie Carr rushed for over 100 yards and a score. Senior Mo Freeman led the defense with 10 tackles. Quadrell Wilson had 8 tackles and 2 interceptions, one of which was returned for a touchdown. Trey Roberts also had a pick, and Ashton Waller had 9 tackles and a forced fumble, which he promptly took 49 yards to score and put the cherry on top of the game. Combined, the defense and special teams recorded 6 turnovers. Tim.
It was so rewarding for everybody involved with our program after the Fayetteville game, and going up there with such high hopes and really not playing well and still being in the ball game. I know it's 17-point ball game, but we were in the ball game till late. And you had Manny Smith go out with some heat related issues. You had all the stuff. And then you've got to get on the bus, drive back, and then drive back to Bentonville and face the top team. I mean, them and Bryant, they're the top 2 teams in the state, and play them at their place. Second game of the year. I had some hope, but it was limited. And boy, what a fantastic outcome.
It was a great night to be a Wampus Cat fan, that's for sure. The Wampus Cats will be home for the first time this season on Friday, playing host to Jonesboro to close out the non-conference schedule. And we'll break down that Bentonville game in more detail and preview Jonesboro a little later in the show. And we're also going to hear from Coach Gavin de los Santos, the offensive line coach for your Wampus Cats. So it's, like I said, it's going to be a football-packed show today. We move now to volleyball. The Lady Cats split the week, falling on Tuesday at defending state champs Fayetteville in 3 sets. The Lady Cats kept the first set close, 28-26, but couldn't keep it going after that. Coach Crow described it as a gauge game, giving the Lady Cats a feel for where they need to be by the end of the season, Tim.
Yeah, and I think that what you saw, they took out some frustrations on the Thursday night game, but Southwest, their program is still relatively new. They're gonna be okay, but right now they're not that great, and so you saw some things happen in the volleyball game on Thursday night that really was a good look forward. We got a chance to really play a lot of folks and saw some of the younger talent come through. We're going to need those ladies as the season progresses. So yeah, Fayetteville's top notch. I mean, that's an early season test. I hope to see them again at the end of the year.
Yeah, Conway, like you said, quick to rebound on Thursday, opening conference play with the sweep of Little Rock Southwest. And also, like you said, going deep into the bench, and Laney Kellybrew returned from injury, had 3 blocks. On the week, Madison Holloway finished with 13 kills and 3 blocks. Olivia Wiedauer had 27 assists. Kara Scott had 13 digs, and Kinley Jordan served 6 aces. So what's coming? Oh, North Little Rock coming up this week, right? Another big test.
Absolutely. This week you're in the deep. Fayetteville was the last non-conference game, so you started with Southwest, so we're 1-0 in conference. You really begin now. You go that, and I think it's Cabot as well next week. And both of those are Cabot's program has really progressed. North Little Rock's always tough, so it's going to be a tough week. And Coach, I think though has them ready. Laney Kellebrew came back and was absolutely fantastic on Thursday night. She was jumping out of the gym, making great moves, pounding the ball. She had a couple of great kills and blocks, as you said. Really happy to have Laney Kellebrew back.
Moving to golf now at the Bryant Hornets Invitational last Tuesday, the Conway boys finished second out of 8 teams with a combined score of 312. Colin Spangler finished as the runner-up individually, and Yenta Yang finished third. The Conway girls finished in third place in the tournament as well. And we closed last week's headlines with tennis. The Lady Cats took on Greenbrier Thursday and won 3-1. Coach LaShanta Johnson said that Conway's top doubles team, comprised of Emma McClurkin, am I saying that right, Tim? And Aaron Price, or as they are referred to, Double Trouble. See, they have a nickname for their doubles. Double Trouble is proving to be a great duo for the Lady Cats. So that's going to do it for last week's headlines. Now let's just go ahead and move into what was an amazing Friday night for Wampus Cat football, and honestly, the entire city of Conway. Let's just say it. Even if you're not a Wampus Cat fan, this was a huge night for Conway going up to Bentonville, a place where, let's just say it, the last 3 times that we've been there now, we've won. Now, granted, one of those games was against Bentonville West, but so be it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we have established a track record of success of going into that stadium and coming out with W's. And Tim, where do you even want to begin with this one? Because there's so many things to talk about. I mean, we could start with the fact that we were down 13-0 fairly quickly.
Yeah, and had 2 turnovers in that span.
Not on us. 2 turnovers that we forced, and we were still down 13.
That's right. I mean, you would think with and they were. I think it was a pick and a fumble, but 2 turnovers, and you would think, okay, now we've got something. You immediately turn around, you got the offense back on the field, yet we could not find anything. We had, and I know that the receiving coach is going to have a great film session with his guys. We were dropping balls right and left. And I think, that's not saying anything bad about the kids. That's just what was happening. We were just dropping balls.
Yeah.
So the good news was that Donovan was really hitting it well. The bad news is we just couldn't complete the action. So we had 0 yards, and then that drive right before the end of the first quarter. And then you had, Donovan Amala, who has not had a touchdown yet, right after the Fayetteville game.
Right.
Only goes for 65 yards and a score on a keeper on 4th and 2.
Yeah.
And at that, from that point forward, it was on.
Yeah. And then in the second quarter, he had the 15-yard pass to Manny Smith that gave Conway its first lead. And then from there on, it was just like a back and forth, constant back and forth affair. Right. And then eventually Bentonville was able to flip it to where when they would score, they were taking the lead, and we were just chasing the whole rest of the night, it felt like. And man, going into that, well, before we get to the second half, what a big drive at the end of the first half for Conway to tie it up. The 35-yard pass from Amala to Manny Smith. I mean, I can't tell you how relieved I felt going into halftime with the tie ball games, knowing that Bentonville was about to get the ball to start the second half. Right. It was a huge possession for Conway.
No, it was absolutely.
And so Where are you going now, man? Where are you
Well,
going?
I was gonna say though, to number one, to agree with your point, but to also say this, that for the guys, um, after having the first quarter that they had, to mentally check into the fact that even with that start, that you're tied with Bentonville, it's 0-0 going into the second half, and yeah, they get the ball first, but you're right there. Now you take care of business. You try to find a way to stay with them, get a break or two. Then and that's what the coaches were saying. Look, it's right here. It's right here. And because at the end of the first half of the Fayetteville game, I had a feeling, and again with Manny being out, you were like, how are we going to do this? And that's kind of how it ended up being. So yeah, that score at the end of the first half was absolutely critical.
Yeah, what a joy to have Manny Smith on the field all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
He's such a game changer. He takes so much attention that it opens things up for everybody else. And I know Wes Boudreaux was out most of the game Friday at Bentonville, so we got to see a lot of younger receivers. Jaden Hughes, right. Who was the other one we kept seeing?
Chris O'Neill had a big catch.
Yeah, and Donovan Amala really establishing himself as a runner. We didn't really see a whole lot of that at Fayetteville, and there were 2 different occasions where he, kept the ball on the read and then ran it to the corner for a touchdown. Yeah.
I mean, and he outran guys to the edge, which is, and he's a big quarterback compared to Ben last year, who was a little bit smaller, but was really athletic. Donovan really has that quarterback look about him, but sometimes those guys are not the quickest, in getting out. This guy really has that. And to establish, and here's the thing, that sets it up for the rest of the year going into last night. First of all, you didn't really know a lot about him yet. He managed Fayetteville game very well. No picks, no turnovers, had good presence in the pocket, right? Had all those things, but you didn't see the running side of it at all. You saw a couple of scrambles where he got down. This game changes everything, because now when people see game film, they're like, okay, now we've got to stop. Now we have to stop Manny, Boogie, Lala, Chambers, and Donovan running the ball.
Yeah.
Not to mention West and all the other guys catching the ball in the wide receiving core. There's a lot there to cover. And if you're a defending team, not only do you have to figure out a way to cover those guys, but you got to keep up with us. And what I saw Bentonville do in the second half was really struggle to stay up with the pace. I listened to the other broadcast. I think I talked about this a little bit earlier with you. I watched the other broadcast, and a couple of things that I noted from that. It's always great to get the different perspective, right, from the other side of the equation. And one of the things is this: that's the first regular season loss for Bentonville in 2 seasons, last 2 seasons. So two seasons and 1 game, they had not lost a regular season game. They were undefeated. So they lost in the playoffs, but they did not lose regular season games. This is the first one. And it's not like they don't play anybody. They play, not only do they play tough, their conference has some tough moments, but they play every year. They play out of state. They're in that area of the state where they can get some different people to come in and go out. So they've played the number 4 team in Kansas City, Missouri last week and thumped them. They get Rockhurst to come in this coming week, and they played us in the middle of that. They've got a tough schedule. We beat a great team. That was the one thing that I took away. The second thing I would say is that they were very impressed, shocked, appalled, whatever you want to call it, with the pace of the game for us. We were fast at Fayetteville, and we saw the speed of this offense last year really start to pick up as we got into the conference. That I will tell you, even last year, that was the fastest I've seen us move. They literally were ahead of Bentonville, getting to their spot and going. Bentonville was always on the chase in the second half. We were lightning fast. I was counting seconds. Sometimes it was, by the time the play was over with, we were snapping in under 10 seconds. Now think about that. Under 10 seconds, to get everybody lined up and figure out where you are. Our guys are so disciplined to run that kind of offense. I mean, it's going to drive some coaches crazy. They just couldn't keep up.
And it wasn't just the second half, because I remember distinctly after the Amala touchdown run, the first one, the next scoring drive, really the next two scoring drives, when he had the passes to Manny, it was that those whole drives, they were just, I kept seeing him, telling them to hurry up. And they just kept doing it. And it's like, you really felt like he had control and grasped like what was happening. Like, and I didn't have any feelings against that in the Fayetteville game, but it was his very first game. This game, it was like, no, man, this kid's got it. Like, and the way he stands in the pocket, he's so still. His feet, they're not churning. He's not nervous. Like, if he is, it's like what's the ducks, like above the water, they're just cool and collected, but below the water, he's so still in the pocket until it's time for him to move. I continue to be impressed by him. I'm not trying to give him, much credit to blow him up, but he doesn't really look like a sophomore, and that's great. And a lot of the credit for that, I mean, we've been talking about some of this, and we were talking about it coming into the season, was they have to be able to run the ball to take pressure off of him. And man, oh man, 300 rushing yards. Now, granted, some of that was him too. Yeah, but that's helping for sure.
Yeah, no, being able to run the ball. And we talked about that even before the season started. We talked about it with Coach Fimple, given the sophomore having to start, that the running game was going to be even more critical. And we ran the ball pretty well last year. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. The flash and the pop with this team was, Ben Weiss and Bryce and Manny in the passing game. But we really got it done on the ground as well. I mean, Jamal Bethune had a great year. Manny Smith had a great year. Boogie Carr. We ran the ball well, but it just seems like the focus has changed, and we're running the ball to set up the pass. Now, I believe, and I have not talked to coaches about this, and I wouldn't say it if it were, but it's just my opinion. But I do believe we will start to see as Donovan gets more in tune with what's going on and it starts to grow into the offense, that we'll start to see that balance out a little bit. And again, I think one of the first steps is him being able to run the ball effectively like he did. It's one thing to feel comfortable handing the ball to Boogie or to Lala or to Jalen or to whomever they're going to run back there. It's another to pull it out and take it yourself. And he did it on both fourth downs that were absolutely critical. So don't get lost.
And scored.
Right. So don't get lost in the fact that when we had to have it, he took the ball. There are a lot of guys out there that pressure and that moment, I'll do my job, but I'm not sure I want the ball. He wanted the ball. And that's what I like about this guy. Super competitor. And let me say this before, because I know I talk too much.
No, not at all.
The other part that I'm impressed with, I get that we gave up. Is it 40? We've given up 41 back-to-back games. Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's the number, right? So we got to score more than 41. I know it's the day and age of football has changed so much. Long gone are the days of 7 to 14. You're just not going to see that anymore. So I have to change my mindset on the defense. So here's what I believe about our defense. Yes, we gave up 41 points. They had 6 turnovers. This is a theme for this defense. They did the same thing last year.
Yeah.
Ball hawks. As soon as the ball goes up, even when we're down, as soon as the ball goes up, there's a good chance we're going to get it. I mean, they believe that. And here's what happens. Once you start getting takeaways, it's like a stone rolling down the hill. People want to be a part of that. You just find yourself in positions to get the ball. That's what you want. So you got defensive linemen out there. I saw this last night on Friday night, and I'm trying to remember who it was. I can't remember if it was Big D. I'd have to go back and look at the film. Maybe in Kelvin. They ran a screen pass late in the game, and our defensive lineman dropped back into coverage and almost picked it off, a defensive lineman. So you got guys out there that are now, I mean, they're looking for the ball. I love that about our defense. Do I want to see us not give up 41 points? Yeah. But I love the fact that they don't get down on that. They turn around and the next ball is going to be theirs. Love their attitude.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing about the offense that stood out to me, and then I'd love to continue this conversation about the defense. The last thing that really impressed me was in the third quarter, after Amala threw his first interception, the next possession, they just drove entirely down the field running the ball and scored. And it was like this, to me, that was kind of the turning point of the game was, hey, our sophomore just made his first passing mistake, really like one of the first bad throws he's had in these 2 games.
That's right.
We're going to pick him up and it's no worry, bud. We got this. We're just march all the way down the field.
Well, and here's the thing too. I mean, so yes. And so, and the thing is, after the 3rd, 4th or 5th or 6th run, they know it's coming. They know it's coming and they cannot stop it. And so I will tell you what you heard. And again, I don't do it. I truly don't do it just to feel other people's pain, but I watch the other broadcast because what it does is those guys are fans and they also follow their team just like you and I do. And so they're passionate about it. They know the kids personally. They know all the nuances around the program. And they were shocked at how we could just basically look like we were running the same play over and over and over, just right down the middle, pound. They could not believe it. They were like, what is going on? And if you didn't see this, and you want to go back and take a look at the game, their defensive linemen and offensive linemen are some of the biggest that we'll face all year long. They're huge. They're very athletic. They're well coached. We wore them down and started to lean on them, and finding those 2 and 3 yard gaps became 5 and 6 and 7 yard gaps. And when you get this offense at 2nd and short, 3rd and very short, man, that's trouble because as we all know, it's not a 3 down set. It's 4 downs normally. I mean, Kelly's going to be looking over to Fimple, even if it's on our own 20 going, look, it's 4th and inches. Let's go. So very impressed with our offense, but now it's becoming very, very much a commonplace.
All right, let's talk about this defense. 6 turnovers. So between the defense and special teams, we did get a fumble recovered on kickoff coverage. 6 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles. We forced 4, but only recovered 3. One interception returned for a touchdown. Quadrell Wilson, he had 2 in the game and returned 1 in the second half for a touchdown. And then the coup d'etat, the finishing touch of the game, Ashton Waller. And sorry, Ashton, I didn't see that you caused the fumble as it was happening. We picked that up a little bit later, but you came up, made the play on right, just slap that ball out. You hit the turf and then could still get up and get to it before anyone else and just take it on all the way home to finish it off.
It was funny they interviewed him in Northwest Arkansas. Media interviewed him after the game, and he was like, when he after he made the play and he saw the ball come out, he said, I really didn't know. He said, I went to the ball and started running with it. And he said, and you could see it on the film. He starts to slow down and look back. And then one of his guys, I don't know who it was going, go, man, go. And so he said, I just took off. He said, I didn't know if it was still a live ball or not, but I just took off. And he said, since they were chasing me, I decided to go ahead and get in the end zone. But so defensively, we fly to the ball at every spot. And so we're very risk-taking defense. And so we've been burned. And we've been burned, but the more we play and the more you got to get out there, things begin to fall apart for the offense because we are risk takers, and any ball you throw up, we could go get. Okay. And so that mentality begins to change. And I was so impressed with how hard Maurice Freeman hit. I mean, Ashton Waller last week had 19 tackles. I can't remember how many. I think do you know how many tackles Maurice had?
I think Mo had 10.
10 tackles. Okay.
Yeah.
And about half of those was the guy going backwards.
And one of them was taking the quarterback and almost pile driving him like we saw Wampus Cat do last year, but pulled up just enough to stay away from the yellow.
Yeah, we were sending messages really all night long. Not only Maurice Freeman, Ashton Waller did it. Trey Roberts had a great stick in the backfield. So you're sending tough messages with them, things that they remember in the flats. You have receivers out there, they're going to have their head on a swivel because they know the lumber's coming. So I know we give up points, but I really love the way we play and the risks we take.
Also 5 sacks on the night for this defense. And 41 points is way too much. Like they want it to be somewhere around like the mid to low 20s is what they're aiming for, right? Based on discussions we had with them before the season started. So I know that these numbers they're not happy with these numbers. No. They're happy with the turnovers, certainly. Right. But I think things are going to get better these next few games because they're not, no offense to Jonesboro or Little Rock Southwest, but this is not Fayetteville and Bentonville that we're going to be facing over the next, 2 games that we have in the next 3 weeks. So I expect to see these numbers come down. Now, if they don't, then that's going to be problematic. But, and again, Jonesboro is good. We're going to talk about them here in a second. They're big. They're always like that. Southwest is a mess. No offense to them. They're still getting a program established. So
that's right.
So we expect these numbers to come down and you're not facing literally the 2 best teams in the 7A West over the next, 2 weeks. So that's right. That helps. Certainly.
It does. It absolutely does.
All right. Anything else you want to say about Bentonville before we move on to Jonesboro?
If you'll allow me one final comment, and then
I will always allow you.
I promise to move on, and I will mentally check out of Bentonville and put it in the rearview mirror. This is a team that is not only do they have the talent, they have, and not only they're big, they're fast. They have 3 fantastic receivers at 2 top-notch running backs and a quarterback that's very elite. Is technically very sound. And we took that team that's so well coached, so well disciplined, bigger than us, faster than us, and we wore them out in the end because of staying with our game plan and the pace of the game and our defense flying all over the place. That cannot be dismissed. This is not a team that you'll see probably lose again. I mean, this team's not going to lose more than one more ball game at most the rest of the year. That's my prediction. So just remember that after a tough game against Fayetteville, on the road again, you turn around, you drive back, and going in what you're facing. It's not like it's a big shock to anybody that Bentonville's going to be really, really, really good, right?
Right.
So going in that it's going to be, you better strap it up tight because it's going to be. And we came out a 14-point victor, 6 turnovers, and saw so many fantastic plays. Our coaching staff, I mean, let's just say something about that just for a second before I leave out. I know Coach Fimple and I know a lot of these coaches, and they pour their heart and soul into this program, and they were disappointed with the Fayetteville game. And this week in practice was a tough week in practice, but they had a purpose, they had a plan, and they can coach on the fly. They can make some adjustments, but they were planning for Bentonville. They were planning to beat Bentonville. They were not surprised. You talked to Coach Fimple. He was not surprised. He was surprised by 6 turnovers. That doesn't happen in high school ball very often.
Yeah.
But he was not surprised that they won. And so I'm so pleased with our coaching staff and how they got these kids ready to go and play.
Speaking of the coaching staff, we're going to be talking with one from the coaching staff here in a little bit, Coach Gavin de los Santos, the offensive line coach, and can't wait to talk to him because this offensive line is, they clean things up from week 0 to week 1.
Oh my gosh.
We'll just say that. All right, let's talk about Jonesboro a little bit before we go and talk to Coach D. The hurricane coming to town, not Ida, Jonesboro.
Just in one singular. I can't, for my lifetime, I call them the Hurricanes, but it is the Jonesboro Hurricane. Watch them on film. They are, I think, 1-1 on the season. They, again, you mentioned this, I think, a little bit earlier. They're just big at every position. They're fast. Cabot handled them last week, but they've got a receiver that can get over the top very quickly. They've got a quarterback. We saw it after they had a quarterback last year we played, and he broke his leg during the game. Jumper, I think was his name.
Yeah, so we got to see this guy, right? I mean,
Expo is his name. Yeah, I think that's his name. And he actually can fling it around. And I've watched him in the Cabot game. He can do it. Their running back is kind of a bowling ball kind of running back, not real tall, very strong. And so they're dangerous on the offensive side. Defensively, man, they fly to the ball. Now, I think there's a chance there for us because they are such high pursuit that we can get them in some opportunities and some of our misdirections. And I think that Manny could have a really good ball game this week.
I like what I'm hearing. The ground game took over at Bentonville, carried us through. Maybe we see the passing game reemerge.
Well,
dominant.
So defensively, we've got to make sure that we watch the flats on these guys. They do a lot of drag routes. They throw it short a lot, and then they'll pop the top a little bit. But it's a passing game that really works side to side more than vertically, at least against Cabot. But offensively for us, I think we've got some chances to do some things with some of those read options that we have. I think it's going to be. I like the Cats in this one. I'll always take the Cats, but I really do believe that we'll be able to do some really good things offensively against Jonesboro.
Yeah, first home game of the season, so first chance for all you Conway residents to come see your Wampus Cats at John McConnell Stadium, and not senior night. First, I guess second home game last year was senior night just because of all the weird stuff going on with COVID, but not doing that this early this year. That will be later in the season, but your first chance to come see them out in person. And of course, we will have that game broadcast live on Conway Corp with pregame starting at 6:30. Tim, it's going to be fun.
Can't wait.
Time now for this week's Meet the Cats segment. Joining us now is football offensive line coach Gavin de los Santos. Coach D, welcome to Six Legs.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Levi.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you here. And man, what a week. We will talk about Bentonville in a little bit, but kind of just want to get started talking a little bit about you and your football history and how you made your way to Conway. I know some of the story happened over in Searcy, Arkansas.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess we can start at the very beginning. Ever since I can remember, I've had a ball in my hand. Playing Pee Wee football and growing up playing football. Went to Lake Hamilton my entire life. Played high school football there for the great Jerry Clay. For you guys to know him,
yeah.
I guess. but I had great coaches my whole career. Ended up being lucky enough to go to Harding University. Graduated there in 2017. We were part of some really good teams there, man. I was really blessed to be a part of Harding right there. My senior year, we started the year 0-3. Lost to Southern Naz that third game, and it was looking pretty bleak, man. I thought I was going to have a pretty quick senior year and it was going to be done, but we ended up rattling off like 12 straight wins, going to the semifinals, and almost making a run for the national championship there. So being a part of a lot of great teams, I'm blessed. Not everybody that plays and coaches football can say that. So man, it's been an awesome ride. Then super blessed to be a part of that team at Harding and what it meant for me and really shaped me into the coach I am today. The mentors and the coaches you have that I had there were second to none. So that was an awesome experience. And then getting into coaching, Conway is my second stop. Actually, I was at Joe T. Robinson for the first 2 years of my coaching career. And man, again, talking about how blessed I am. I got to coach really good teams there as well and really good talent. We actually won a state championship my last year there. And so being able to coach with those guys over there are great. Being able to coach that team was awesome. But there is nothing like being at Conway. And I can honestly say that after my first year here and now going into my second year. So Now going into that and bringing me here, there's some places that have great students, have great places, and have great coaches in football. But man, Conway is second to none, and I'm so blessed, and me and my wife are so blessed to be here. That's for sure.
Well, I can tell you, we're very thankful to have you. And I wonder if any of the band I've heard, I haven't seen it yet, but if I were to go to Harding, there's not a building that doesn't have some sort of name of yours in some part of it. So congratulations on your college career. I know there's a lot of awards, a lot of background there. So with the offensive line that you coach and in the system that Conway has, I mean, it's such a unique system. I honestly can say, and I've watched a lot of high school football. I've watched football at all levels for a number of years. I've never seen a team on a regular basis, like on a normal cadence, go as fast as Conway does. Now, that's something for the receivers and for the skill position guys to get back into the spots and load up and get the call in, all that stuff. But I think it's remarkable that your offensive linemen, the big guys, go up and down the field at such a high paced way. How do you approach coaching your offensive line to just get into the spot, get there so quickly?
Well, and really, I mean, it's got to be a hats off to Coach Kelly right there, because I have never practiced at a pace that we have practiced. I promise. It's not just the game, and it is incredible at the rate in which we practice. And yeah, that's really what I'll credit it to. And I mean, no matter what it is, what drill we're doing, whether it's in between stations, whatever it is, it's a full out sprint. And I think it's one of those things that you can talk about playing fast, but unless you live it, it's not going to show up on Friday nights. And so I think that's the biggest thing is everything we do is move fast. Even in the weight room, we're 2 minutes every superset, and then we're rolling again. And then I give them 30 seconds at the end of it, and they've got to rack all the weights up in that time. And so everything we do is kind of almost programmed to play like that. And so really the way we practice is really accredited that. It's not even really a drill that I say, hey guys, here, every 5 yards we got to run and get to the ball. I think it's just they know and they get to it. And I can't tell you enough how blessed we are to coach the kids we have, because we don't have to say it much.
Well, I for the first time I think ever, I saw at the Bentonville game, the PAT team went before the referees were ready. Yeah. I mean, everybody just goes fast. So Levi, do you mind if I ask another question?
Oh man, just keep going.
Okay,
keep rolling.
So what we saw in the Bentonville game, we actually saw as well in the Fayetteville game. And I know with the running game from last year, when you had Jamal and you had Boogie really kind of establishing himself, and you had Manny going back there, the running game it looked to me like it was opened up by the fact that everybody was having to play the pass, and they were having to spread, and they were having to cover the edges so well, and they just opened up gaps. It looks like this year, and I'm not sure if that's because we have such a young quarterback and he's learning and doing whatever, but it looks like you guys are having so much success running the ball to set up the throw. So is there a difference this year in the running game and how you're blocking that?
No, and that's funny you say that, because we actually just talked about this, and because we went for 250 against Fayetteville and then 300 against Bentonville on the ground. It's not something you normally see from our offense, especially if you're going off last year. And so, no, I think you're 100% right. I think right now, I think while we get Donnie, getting him adjusted to the high school game, and we've got an experienced offensive line, and we've got Boogie back, and we've got some experience in those positions where, man, being able to run the ball and take some pressure off him is huge. But also, I think really teams, they really have given us a light box again this year. Like Bentonville, they gave us 5 in the box a lot of the game. And man, Coach Kelly over the headset was just like, they're going to give us this, we're going to run the ball 100 times. So, that's music to my ears. I was excited to hear that. Man, we went 46 rushes right there for 303. And again, those guys played so hard Friday night, and I was so proud of them.
Well, and I'll tell you, I cheat a little bit, and I watch other teams' broadcasts to see what their position is on the Wampus Cat offense, because it's such a unique offense. And the Bentonville guys that were broadcasting the game were not only they were intrigued, and they were a little bit worn out by the fact of how fast we went, but they were so surprised that and again, based upon Bentonville's game against North Liberty or Liberty North, whoever that was in Missouri, that we were having so much success running the ball, and it seemingly, and I know it probably wasn't, but it was like a bunch of plays that were almost the exact same play, and they were 5, 8, 12, 5. So when your guys get lined up, and I know you're going so fast, do they? And Jack has talked to me a little bit. My son Jack was an offensive lineman for a while there. That you guys are pretty much know what's going to go on before you even get to the line. Is that a true statement? I mean, do you guys feel like that they know exactly what they've got to do before the play's even called?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, and I've always prided myself on getting my guys ready mentally for the most part. I always want them to know exactly what they're going to see and visualize it and see it Monday through Thursday before they see it Friday. So I think that's a huge part. But for the most part, our rules and our run game, and I joke with the guys all the time, we have about 8 things that the offensive line has to know. And if you know those 8 things, you can probably be a pretty good offensive line for us. And I think that's how we play fast. You make it simple for the kids, and they can play fast and have fun. And so for the most part, yeah, they're pretty much know what they're doing every play. But obviously the defense can give us something different. We need to make a check or a call here to change the run scheme, or maybe the protection maybe a little bit different. But other than that, Jack's 100% right. We make it pretty simple so they can play fast.
Excellent. So you got kind of on your offensive, your starters, you have 2 seniors and 3 juniors?
3 seniors. You
3
got
seniors
Raymond Tolliver, Childress, DeBoard, and then Smith and Tufu, your juniors.
Yeah. So you moved, I think was Tufu your left tackle last year?
He was left tackle last year, and he slid over to the right side this year.
So Aaron Smith, we didn't know much about him coming in. He's really tall. He's not very thick. He's a tall guy.
We're working on it.
You're feeding him more KFC at the Ozark rest stop. So, but he seems though, and I thought that was an interesting change because Tufu had a great year last year, and I thought even as a sophomore, man, you put him in the left tackle spot. That's a big deal. So why the switch? I mean, and what have you seen about Aaron Smith that you liked so much to put him at left tackle?
Right. Well, the first thing that jumps out at you about Aaron is he's 6'6", and
yes,
he's got super long arms. Like you said, he's not very large in terms of his size and his weight. But man, he was about 245 about 3 months ago, and then we went home for the dead period, and he came back about 20 pounds less than what he was. And so he and I had to have a little conversation, but he actually got a little sick, and it wasn't all his fault. Okay. So I'm giving him the pass here, but no. And with Sean, I can't say enough great things about Sean. The fact that he's a Swiss Army knife. You can put him anywhere. And during team camp this year, he actually played some guard. He's just one of those kids that can play all 5. And I knew that Aaron had already been back up left, and it would just be easier for me to take Sean and put him at right because of knowing what he could do and knowing how he could seamlessly make that change and it wouldn't bother him. And I felt like with Aaron, him being his first year really playing, just let him stay where he was at and let him go right there. And again, I think Aaron will be a pretty good left tackle for us eventually, just based off his tangibles.
Well, he's looked great so far. And I know you've got like a senior Nick Childers at center, so solid at the center position. And you got Debo over there at right guard. And I know he's fairly aggressive. He came back from a pretty significant injury at the Jonesboro game last year, tore his ACL. What kind of, have you seen him get back into the kind of his normal aggressive mode?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you never know how a kid's going to respond from something like that. It's something as traumatic as an ACL and being, 9 months, removed from the sport. And, that's tough on a kid. But Debo came back, and I remember that first day he got cleared. It just so happened the next day we had a team camp. And the first play, Debo takes some kid and takes him 10 yards and plants him on his back, and he gets up and he's just going crazy. I'm like, man, this kid hadn't missed a beat. And so, that was refreshing. That was, reassuring for me to know that, he was excited. He was back and, playing just as well as ever. And he really got, it's crazy how kids and really athletes in general, after an ACL surgery, they get stronger. He's squatting more than he's ever squatted, and he's cleaning more than he's ever cleaned, and he's benching a ton. So, I hate to say it helped him, but, I think that time off, it allowed him to get stronger, get in the weight room, and man, he's looking great this season for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I definitely want to talk about Bentonville. Levi, can we talk about Bentonville?
Yeah, can I jump in first though?
Yeah.
Because
What you want to talk a little bit?
I mean, just for a moment, Tim, all right? Because I don't think you can talk about Bentonville really without first talking about Fayetteville and what happened there with the offense moved the ball pretty well throughout the game, but it was penalties that just were killing drives. I think there were like 14 penalties overall. And then this week, two penalties that we counted, only one against the offense. So what was the message for you as the O-line coach to the kids this past week to get them ready to go out there and perform like they did at Bentonville?
Right. Yeah. So like you said, talking about Fayetteville, you go back and you watch that game, and it's hard to convince a team of 15 to 18-year-old kids after they lose by 3 scores to tell them, hey, you're better than that team. And it's hard to convince them of that after they lose by 17. Then you show the film and you show them the mistakes and you show them the 14 penalties. And then the 3 trips to the red zone that resulted in 0 points. And, you start showing them those things and they kind of like, okay, yeah. And then our message for the week was finish. And that was everything that we did. I talked about finishing. And so we had a lot of red zone goal line things during the week where we put the ball on the 20 and, hey, we've got to score, guys. And, just reiterating the word finish. And I think every trip to the red zone the other night, we scored. So that was awesome to see the kids. And like you said, 1 penalty on the offense, and that's a complete turnaround. Can't say enough about how well how well the kids answered and played for each other the other night. It was awesome to watch.
I don't know if I'm old school. Back in the day, penalties meant some up and downs the next day or the next week in practice. So I know that there's other ways to incentivize. But to Levi's point, it was such a night and day kind of, and I know there was some early season kind of things going on. What was when you got to Bentonville? So you had that at the end of the Bentonville game, you could look at the stats and go, wow, 14 penalties to 2, red zone consistency, capitalize on every red zone. You pounded the ball offensively. I mean, you were just running the ball through some of the bigger defensive linemen that we will face. And these guys are pretty talented. I watch them year in and year out, and they're very disciplined. They don't lose track of things. They know what's going on. They make adjustments. They got a good coaching staff. Here's the question that I've been wanting to ask you since Friday night. So you have the game on Friday. You don't play as well as you can, that you can do. Then you turn around and in the first 6-7 minutes of the game, or actually probably more like 8 minutes of the game Friday night, you get 2 turnovers gifted to you. Defense turns the ball over for you and gives you the ball, and yet offensively there was just nothing going on. And so and some of that credit Bentonville for whatever things that they were doing, but something happened right there towards the end of the first quarter, and I was wondering, was there something that either you changed from a technical perspective, from a game plan perspective, or was it just a leaning on the kids and getting them to believe in what was going to go on? What was it like that made that switch kind of flip to the positive side?
Yeah, I think there's 3 things. And I think the first thing is the last thing you mentioned right there is just that belief in each other on the sideline. Got together with the offensive staff, and we all kind of got together with the kids underneath the tent and just kind of reiterate the fact that, hey, last week's behind us. These first 3 drives are behind us. It's time, it would have been really easy to just start yelling and telling the kids, hey, this, and that. But I think we got together and kind of pulled together, and the kids felt that comfort zone right there, and they just started to settle down a little bit. I think the next thing is and you talked about was there something from a scheme standpoint that we changed. And I think we started running, a little different scheme there. We started running more GT counter and dart there, pulling the tackle, almost like power, just pulling the dart or pulling the tackle there. And really it was just something we noticed with the way their backers were playing and the way the D line was slanting really away from the back. And they were kind of setting their strength a certain way. So once we saw that after those first 3 drives and it became pretty consistent, we made that change and we kind of went from there. And then the next thing is one kid that I want to talk about is Jalen Chambers. He's a running back from Texas and the movement from Texas. And man, that guy brought us a spark. He came in and ran the ball hard on that drive that we scored. He came in, he lowered his head on 2 drives or 2 runs to finish, and kind of got our sideline a little pumped up. You feel the kids start to get a little excited, and the energy they were showing. And so I think it's those 3 things. There's the belief in each other, that little change in the run game, and then Jalen right there coming in and really providing the spark. And I think after that, it was a downhill run, and we were ready to roll after that.
Do you think in it, the second half of the Fayetteville game was a little bit of an enigma for me, because I don't think we scored in the second half of the Fayetteville game.
And
so so then you go and you do what in the Bentonville game, and I don't know that I was expecting it against Bentonville, but I saw it last year a lot. Because of the pace of the game, you really start to wear down an opponent, and the pace of the game gets to them. Finally, you get into their legs. Bentonville is a different kind of team. Beating Bentonville, I think personally, was one of the better victories we've had in the last 2 years, because of what they have and how they're set up to be successful. And so do you think, with the way that you guys play, and again, the pace that you play at, I hate to keep bringing that up, but it's such a unique pace, do you think you have the ability to wear down defenses and get them into, the latter half of the third and fourth quarter and really start leaning on them?
Oh, there's no doubt. There is no doubt. And again, Coach Kelly says it every day in practice. No one plays at the pace we play at. And it's not something you can simulate in a practice to the opposing team either. And so every day, again, just that belief in the kids playing fast and understand what we're trying to accomplish is huge. And like you said, the way Bentonville's set up and how successful they are, and what they have been in the past and what they are and what they're going to be. But what I'm excited about is Conway set up the same way. And I think once the kids start to beat teams like this and they understand, it should be us that people are thinking about like that, And I think once the kids start feeling that and they start understanding that, I honestly think Conway will be the next powerhouse, and there's no doubt in my mind. Just the community backing, the size of the school, the kids that we have. There's no reason we shouldn't be that number 1 or 2 team in the state every year. So,
I totally agree.
Well, Coach, I got one last question for you. I would be remiss not to mention it. I mean, you're coaching Conway offensive lineman. One of the best to come up and through there was Colton Jackson, and now he's working alongside you. What's that relationship like?
Oh man, well, it's funny you say that. Our me, my wife, and his family, and my little 8-month-old girl were just at the splash pad down the street before I came home tonight. So it's a great relationship, to say the least. To be able to work with a guy like that, and honestly, I'm a couple years older than him, and I've been coaching a little bit longer. But being able to pick his brain, and he's been coached by some really good coaches. His first couple years there, he had Sam Pittman as his offensive line coach. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but
got him.
He's pretty good one. And so, man, just being able to pick his brain, talk to him about just drills that they did in college, certain things that they did, maybe scheme wise, maybe the way they blocked a few things, certain calls, his communication on the line, all those things are so invaluable for me. And just anything I could maybe pick up, maybe if it was just one thing that could help the offensive line, man, that was huge for us. And then it goes without saying just what he brings from just pretty much an idol standpoint for these kids and for the guys, man. They look to him and it's like, man, that could be me one day. And that right there is priceless for me and for the rest of the coaching staff, and obviously Colton and the kids, because when they think that and they know, and they got someone to look up to and follow like that, man, it helps a ton. And he brings a ton of energy each day. He's great in the weight room with the guys, and he always finds about one rack offensive lineman and lets them have it during the weight room session. So having an extra pair of eyes like that, and just a guy who's 6'6", 300 pounds, and can scare some kids into a few extra reps, man.
There you go. Nice.
But well, no, I can't say enough things about Colton. He is awesome. He's great.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, they see him, they saw Big Rob Scott, they saw Jaden Williams. There's definitely a path for offensive linemen to come through Conway High School. Well, Coach D, hey, thank you so much for your time. This was an amazing conversation. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all so much. Sorry about the technical difficulties there.
No problem.
Before we close out the show, let's take a look at the week ahead for your Lady Cats and Wampus Cats. Football Tuesday, sophomore and JV playing at North Little Rock. Tennis is in action on Tuesday and Thursday. They'll be at North Little Rock today, and then we'll be at home versus Cabot on Thursday. Huge week for volleyball Lady Cats. They travel to North Little Rock Tuesday, and then Cabot at home. Is this just the rhythm of all the conference opponents right now? North Little Rock Cabot, North Little Rock Cabot. I like it. Well, hey, on the road at North Little Rock, that's going to be a big test. And Tim, you've been saying that Cabot's they've been getting better too, so that could be a big test at home for your Lady Cats.
Yeah, it should be. And I will tell you this: I would love for people to come out and watch that. First of all, you want to beat Cabot at anything. I don't care what sport it is. I don't care what it is. Come out and support your Lady Cats. Come out. It is a great show. They are very talented. Come out and watch the Lady Cats.
And golf will be at the North Little Rock Invitational Tuesday. And then they also have a match at Russellville on Wednesday. That's going to do it for this week's Six Legs. Well, almost going to do it. We got to finish with our parting shots first. Tim, parting shot for this week. What stands out? I mean, you got a lot to choose from.
Well, can I go? I'll go two-parter. Number one, just like I said, please come out and support your Lady Cats against Cabot and volleyball. Fantastic team. I guarantee you'll be impressed with how they play. And it's always great to beat Cabot. We got to do that. The second thing is this: come out and support your Wampus Cats Friday night against Jonesboro. This is a special team. They've got a chance to be really, really, really good. And here's the thing: if you want to watch the broadcast, take it with you on your phone, and you can have it, hook it up. This is a big game. First home game. Got to win one.
Yeah, I mean, you perfectly summed up the parting shot. It's got to be volleyball at home versus Cabot on Thursday, and then your first chance to see the Wampus Cats in person if you haven't been able to travel to Northwest Arkansas the last 2 weeks. At home, taking on Jonesboro. This offense is rolling. Defense, 6 turnovers. Come on. Come watch these Wampus Cats on Friday. My goodness. All right. Remember, if you like what you heard today and you want to support this type of local content, please go to patreon.com/sixlegs and contribute directly to the show. There's a few different tier options, including the ability to interact directly with us. If you want to submit questions, comments, whatever it is, why not? Why not do that? If you like what we're doing here, please consider doing that. And if you're watching the show for free, that's okay too. Subscribe, like it, share it. Just get it out to all the Wampus Cat fans in your life. Tim, thank you, sir. Until next week, go Cats.
Go.
Six Legs is a product of Gilbert Learning and Media, LLC. The show is conceived by, written by, and edited by me, Levi Gilbert. My co-host is Tim Roach. Six Legs is fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/sixlegs. Our Patreon executive producers for this episode are Malcolm and Susan Smith. Thank you so much for contributing to local content.